The book in my hands is nearly 60 years old. It's brittle, fragile, and far past its prime as a functional object. To read it now is to risk a page snapping between your fingers like a dried leaf. But more than its physical decay, its cover marks it as a relic of a different era in publishing. This is a Collins Fontana paperback. For decades, Fontana was the home of Agatha Christie, and their distinctive cover art and typography became the visual shorthand for the golden age of detective fiction. This particular edition, printed in the 1960s, carries a title that has since been scrubbed from modern bookshelves. Today we know this story as "And Then There Were None." But before the title was sanitized for the sake of progress, it went through several iterations. Whether called by the name on this cover or 10 Little Indians, the essence of the text remains the same. It is the crown jewel of the Queen of Crime. I picked up this copy years ago at an old bookstore. It carries the weight of its previous lives. The dates on the back where it was rented out, the smell of damp paper, and the ink of a library seal from nearly 30 years ago. It belongs in a display case rather than a library shelf. The very fact that the current title is not the one printed on this book gives it a collectible value, a tangible connection to a specific moment in literary history. Yet the story inside feels as dangerously sharp as the day it was written in 1939. The premise is deceptively simple. 10 strangers are invited to a luxurious mansion on Soldier Island, a jagged rock off the coast of Devon. Some believe they are there for a job. Others think it is a social invitation from a forgotten friend. But the man who signed the letters, a mysterious UN Owen, is nowhere to be found. What fascinates me most about the opening of this novel is the chilling efficiency of those invitations. As a study in human psychology, it is a masterclass. Think about the logistics. UN Owen writes 10 letters to 10 people from vastly different socioeconomic backgrounds. We have a judge, a governess, a mercenary, an elderly spinster, and a doctor. In a modern context, if you send out 100 marketing letters, you might get one reply. But Owen has a 100% success rate. Each letter was a customized hook, perfectly baited to appeal to the specific vulnerabilities, greed, or nostalgia of the recipient. They didn't just accept, they took risks to reach a place no one had ever heard of, based entirely on written communication. This level of manipulation is the first jolt of mystery. The invitations are so precise that they disregard all logic. All 10 recipients arrive on a glorious summer evening, but as the sun sets, the island is bathed in a sinister light. They are trapped. No way off the island, no way to call for help, and no way to hide from the secret each of them carries. Before we go any further, a brief word of caution. While I'll avoid revealing the killer's identity, I will be discussing the specific premises and the past crimes of the characters. If you want to experience the sheer shock of the first night on the island completely blind, now is your chance to pause, read, and return. For everyone else, let's drop the needle on the record. The tension breaks during dinner on the first night. The guests are relaxing, the wine is flowing, and the veneer of polite society is still intact. Then a voice cuts through the room. A gramophone record begins to play, leveling a specific, chilling accusation against every person present. Every one of them is accused of a murder. Not the kind of murder that lands you in a courtroom, but the kind the law cannot touch. A doctor who operated while drunk, a judge who influenced a jury to hang an innocent man, a governess who let a child drown. These are crimes of negligence, malice, or convenience. Crimes that left them walking scot-free in the eyes of the public, but guilty in the eyes of UN Owen. Exactly at that moment, the first person dies. This is where Christie shifts the genre. This isn't just a mystery, it's a high-stakes psychological experiment. On the mantelpiece sit 10 soldier figurines. Every time a guest dies, a figurine disappears. I've always seen this as a brilliant intimidation tactic. It's a grim scoreboard that serves no purpose other than to remind the survivors that their time is coming. It is a psychological countdown that strips away their sanity faster than the murders strip away their numbers. You are always on the edge of your seat, flipping through pages because you know exactly what is going to happen, but you have no idea when. In the vast majority of Golden Age mysteries, the reader is provided with a safety net. We have a detective, a Hercule Poirot, or a Sherlock Holmes. These figures act as our cameramen. They are outside the circle of danger. No matter how many bodies pile up, we know the detective will endure, explain the logic, and restore order to the world. But in And Then There Were None, Christie removes the safety net entirely. There is no detective. By removing the figure of authority, Christie forces the reader into a state of total paranoia. There is not a single person on the island that you can trust. The island becomes a pressure cooker where the characters are trapped not just by the sea but by their own guilt. Christie brilliantly suggests that while they are physically trapped on Soldier Island, they have been trapped inside their own consciences for years. It all boils down to trust. When you're reading, you never know if you're seeing the world through the eyes of a victim or a murderer. The island is an airtight, illogical vacuum where no external force can interfere. The killer is one of them. And as the numbers dwindle from 10 to 5 and 5 to 2, the question shifts from who did it to who is left to tell the story. In most mysteries, the plot is a hidden path the reader follows in the dark. But here, Christie hands you the map early on. The nursery rhyme isn't just a theme, it is the literal architecture of the novel. By placing the poem in every guest's bedroom, the killer ensures that the victims are active participants in their own psychological torture. Every time a line of the rhyme is fulfilled, the survivors are forced to look at the remaining verses and calculate their own mathematical probability of survival. This is what makes the book a masterpiece of narrative economy. The rhyme provides a rhythm to the carnage, a terrifying sense of inevitability that strips away the character's agency. They know exactly how the next person will die. The red herring, the frizzled up sun, the big bear. Yet they are powerless to stop it. It turns a standard whodunit into a countdown. The rhyme transforms the story into a high-stakes psychological experiment. It proves that Christie's brilliance wasn't in the surprise, but in the execution of a plan she told me about at the very beginning. The logic remains airtight across decades of readers. The poem always ends the same way, and the figurines always disappear. It is the core message of the book, the inevitability of justice when there is nowhere left to run. Seeing these two together is a reminder of how stories endure while their vessels change. The 2007 Harper copy represents the story as it exists today, a polished global masterpiece with over 100 million copies sold. It is sturdy, clean, and safe. It is the version that ensures this plot doesn't feel like a relic. It remains a live wire for new readers. But there is a unique gravity to the Collins Fontana copy. Fontana was the imprint that truly made Christie a household name in the mid-century, turning these stories into affordable, accessible art. The older book belongs in a display because its prime as a readable object has passed, but its value as a collectible is tied to that history. The Harper edition, meanwhile, proves that Christie is the queen of crime not because of her era, but because of her mechanics. Even after 60 years, the logic holds. Both editions carry the same weight of the story, serving as physical bookmarks for a narrative that hasn't aged a day. It is no wonder that this story has been adapted dozens of times. We see its DNA everywhere. From the slasher genre, where people are killed sequentially, to modern ensemble mysteries like Knives Out or Glass Onion, this book provided the blueprint. The language itself is remarkably accessible. It doesn't feel like a 1930s relic. It feels modern, sharp, and lean. Christie's prose doesn't waste time on flowery descriptions. She focuses on the psychological toll, the sweat on the palms, and the realization that the person you were just talking to might be the one about to end your life. The novel provides every single clue you need to solve it before the final reveal, yet almost no one does on the first read. It is a masterclass in narrative structure. The last death in the book isn't even a murder in the traditional sense, which makes the resolution feel hauntingly realistic rather than a theatrical gimmick. It moves beyond the standard whodunit and into a realm of pure airtight logic. Whether you hold the brittle relic or the modern paperback, the trap Christie sets remains just as effective. The title changes, the covers are redesigned, and the paper quality improves, but the chilling realization remains the same. No one is coming to save you. The Collins Fontana edition is a fragile piece of history, while the 2007 edition is a testament to the story's immortality. Both tell the same tale of guilt and retribution. It is the gold standard for the genre. 5 out of 5 stars. If you have read it, I want to know, what was the exact moment you realized you had no idea what was actually going on? At what point did your theory fall apart? Tell me in the comments. But please keep it spoiler free for those who haven't yet stepped onto the island. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more breakdowns of these historic artifacts we call books. I'll see you in the next chapter.